The old farmer didn't even look up from his tractor when the man in the suit approached. He just kept working, his face hardened by years of sun and solitude. He had no time for strangers, no patience for talk. But then the visitor spoke a single sentence, a sentence that mentioned a dream, and the farmer's hands, rough and steady a moment before, began to tremble. For 30 years, Samuel had tended this land. It was his sanctuary and his burden, a rolling stretch of fields that held every memory of his life with Clara. Since her passing 2 years ago, the work had become his only language, his grief tilled into the very soil. He spoke to her in the rustle of the corn, believing he felt her in the morning breeze. His world had shrunk to the boundaries of his farm, and he liked it that way. It was quiet. It was predictable. It was a monument to what he had lost. On that crisp autumn morning, a sleek car, impossibly out of place, kicked up dust on his long gravel drive. Samuel watched it from a distance, a scowl forming. City folk, probably lost, or worse, someone wants to buy the land again. He'd sent them all packing. This land wasn't for sale. It was Clara's. He turned back to his engine, determined to be a statue of indifference. The man who stepped out, named David, was indeed from the city. He represented a large agricultural consortium, and on paper, Samuel's farm was a perfect piece in a puzzle of expansion. David had been sent with a final, generous offer, one he was sure would work. He approached confidently, extending a hand that Samuel pointedly ignored. "Mr. Henderson, David Reed, we've written to you. We have a very substantial offer for your property." "Not interested," Samuel grunted, not turning around. "Sir, if you'd just look at the numbers, I think you'd find." I said, "I'm not interested." The answer was no in your letters. It's no now. This land stays with me. David, trained to overcome objections, pushed on. He spoke of progress, of security, of a comfortable retirement. Each word felt like a violation to Samuel. "You don't understand," Samuel finally snapped, wiping his greasy hands on his overalls. "This isn't dirt and crops. This is my wife. Every inch of it. She's gone, and this is all I have left of her. Now, please leave." David paused. The rehearsed arguments died on his tongue. He saw the raw pain in the old man's eyes, a pain that no financial package could ever soothe. He was about to concede, to hand over a card and walk away. But something stopped him. Perhaps it was the profound love in Samuel's voice. Or perhaps it was the memory of his own late mother and her quiet, steadfast faith. Instead of turning, David said softly, "My mother, she was a lot like that. She believed places held memories. She had a saying. She used to tell me, 'David, sometimes God speaks in the quiet. Sometimes he even sends a message in a dream.'" Samuel froze. He slowly turned, his eyes searching David's face. "A dream?" David nodded, a little surprised at his own words. "Yes." She was a firm believer. Samuel's tough exterior crumbled. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Clara, my Clara. In the last year, she had a dream. A recurring one. She'd tell me about it every morning over coffee." He looked out across the land, his gaze far away. She said she dreamed of a man standing right here, by this old tractor. A man who didn't come for the land, but who came lost. She said in the dream, this man needed to hear about the old spring in the north field, that it was important. Samuel shook his head, a tear tracing a path through the dust on his cheek. "Silly, I know. Just a dream. We never found any spring up there, just rock." David's breath caught in his throat. The color drained from his face. "The north field?" he managed to say. "Yeah. Why?" David's hand went to his wallet. He pulled out a worn, folded map, not a modern printout, but an old, hand-drawn survey. His hands were unsteady now. "Mr. Henderson, Samuel, I didn't just come here for the company. I came for me. My great-grandfather homesteaded a parcel that bordered this land. The family lost it generations ago in hard times. All he ever talked about, all that's left in his journals, was a natural spring on the northern edge of his property. He said it was the sweetest water he'd ever tasted, the source of everything." He pointed to a marked spot on the old map, a spot that lay directly in Samuel's north field. I've been searching for any trace of that land, that spring, for years. It's a family ghost. My mother's last wish was that I'd find it." The two men stood in silence, the weight of the moment hanging between them. The city executive and the grieving farmer are connected by a thread woven from dreams and memory. Samuel didn't see an adversary anymore. He saw a man on a pilgrimage, just as he was. "Well," Samuel said, his voice thick, "I guess we'd better go have a look." They walked together to the rocky North Field, a place Samuel had avoided for its harshness. Using the old map and Samuel's deep knowledge, they searched for an hour. And then, under a ledge of shale that Samuel had passed 100 times, they cleared away decades of brush and found it. A tiny, clear trickle of water, seeping from the stone, forming a small, miraculous pool. Just as Clara had dreamed, just as David's great-grandfather had written. David didn't buy the farm that day. He bought a single, symbolic acre, the one containing the spring. Samuel insisted on a price of $1. But more was exchanged in land. David visited often, helping Samuel with the heavy work. He brought his family, and Samuel's quiet house once again echoed with the laughter of children. The farm remained whole, loved, and protected. Samuel, in sharing his sacred space, found his grief softening, making room for a new, unexpected chapter of companionship. He often sat by the spring, a place that now felt like a bridge between his past and his present. Clara's dream had not been about holding on tightly until the end. It had been about a stranger who would help him learn to let love in again. Sometimes, a dream is more than a memory. It could be a map, left by a loving heart, to guide two lost souls back to kindness and back to each other. Share this story if it reminded you that we are all connected in ways seen and unseen.